All right. Well, once again, I want to say Shabbat Shalom and welcome back, family. If you're joining us via YouTube, still waiting for the rest of the family to get in. I just sent an invite out, and hopefully you can. I'm using the link that was created and sent out earlier. As a matter of fact, I think I sent it out last night, and so. Hopefully everyone can, I see Akut Mary is here. Welcome back, Akut. And so hopefully everyone will be able to follow the link and won't have an issue with, getting back in. Let's see. All right. Let's see what I need to do here. Okay, Akut Shar. Shalom, Akut. Oh, you're welcome to Akut Mary. Okay, let's see. I'm just trying to. No, there's a telephone line. There's a telephone number for those who may be trying to call in via phone. The number is 716-293-8476. 716-293-8476, and there's a PIN. The PIN number is 96736. And so if there's anyone who's trying to call in via telephone, the number is 716-293-8476, and the PIN is 96736. 96736. Okay. All right. Once again, I want to say Shabbat Shalom and welcome back, family. Waiting for the rest of the family to get in. Let me see. Just oh yeah, we'll pray. Yes, it takes a little learning, but yeah. Okay, X Jerry, leave it, Shah. Yes, the more we do it, the easier it becomes. I think. Yeah, I do too, Akut. Unfortunately, it does not. Yeah. As long as it's in the link, right? Unfortunately, it does not allow for enough people to be in on the broadcast. Now, I'm going to try to put some music on here because I'm still waiting for some of the family. So bear with me really quick. I leave it while I try to get some of the family back here, okay? Just bear with me for a second. Stop.
I see your face in every sunrise. The colors of the morning are inside your eyes. The world awakens in the light of the day. I look into the sky and say, you're beautiful. I see your power in the morning light, where planets are in motion and galaxies are bright. We are amazed in the light of the stars. It's all proclaiming who you are. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. I see you there hanging on the tree. You lived and you died and then you rose again for me. Now you are sitting on your heavenly throne. Soon you will be coming home. You're beautiful. Where death is just a memory and tears are no more. We'll let you in as the wedding bells ring. Your bride will come together and we'll sing. You're beautiful. I see your face, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. I see your face, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. I see your face, I see your face, I see your face, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful.
Yahuah, Shabbat Shalom once again, family, and welcome back. It is indeed a delight to be here on this Shabbat afternoon, sharing in this fellowship with my Mashpachah. We praise Yahuah for this opportunity, and we truly give him honor, praise, and this team, Halahu Yahuah, and we say Barakatah. Yahuah, you are good and greatly to be praised. Hallelujah. It is my hope that you enjoyed your break, family, and we're looking forward to continuing in our fellowship this evening as we seek to learn from Yahuah, to be encouraged by his word, to be strengthened by and in his word and through his word, to be equipped, to do our Father's work. And so we truly barak Yahuah, and I barak Yahuah for you and for this time, for this opportunity to be able to share in this fellowship together. And so we're going to prepare now. All the family did not make it back. I did send an invite to everyone, so I hope everyone took heed. If you missed the invite, you have a couple options. You can go to your Gmail account and you will find it there. Just click on the link provided in that invite. And if you can't get into your Gmail account, then the next option would be you go to our YouTube channel, which is www.youtube.com/Word of Life Ministry. That's www.youtube.com/Word of Life Ministry. And from there, you will see a link that will allow you to listen to the broadcast, watch the broadcast. So when you click on that link, you will see people who are in the room. You will see, the banners of people who are in the room. Um, I the way that I set this one up, I don't know. I think you can also have conversations there on YouTube also, but and I try to activate question and answers Q&A so that I can hopefully take a peek over to see if anyone on YouTube has any comments or questions that I need to share with the room. And so hopefully that will work this time around. I did try to do that to activate it, so we'll see if it works. So if you're on YouTube, and also the thing is too that we're using a free program here, and what we realize is that with the free um, version, I'm guessing there must be a paid version, but certainly with the version that we have, it only allows a few people to come directly into the room here. And so you may be trying to get in. I think there is still room for people to come in, but after a while, you may be trying to get in and it tells you that there's no more space in the room. And so if that happens, then you just have to listen from YouTube. Um, so that's where we are right now. I don't know how many of our mashpakais actually. Oh, it's called work version, Akut. Okay, Tuda. I'm going to look into that. So we'll look into the work version and see, what the cost will be in order to use that version where, more people can actually be a part. And the key to this is if we can get accustomed to how the links work, then we won't have a problem, especially if we get the work version. If we get accustomed to how the links work, just click on the correct link and it gets you in, then I think it's going to be a really nice program to work with. I really do like it. And so, hopefully we can get it, we can become familiar enough with it where the headaches are gone, and then we can truly enjoy the fellowship. Uh, because we're at a learning curve here, it has its challenges, it has its issues, and it creates a slow start for me because my mind is on whether or not the family is able to get through or not, and so it takes a transition, for me to get past that and then get into the word. But again, it's just growing pains, and we praise Yahuah for the opportunity. But it's all going to work out. It's all going to work out. I really do like it more than Fuse. I really do, and I just want it to work for everyone. Okay, well, once again, Shabbat Shalom, family. Wonderful indeed to be here. We're going to go ahead and get started. I am missing a lot of our family. Again, I hope that they did see the links that I did send out. Maybe I can send out something again. I will do that. As a matter of fact, I can do that right now. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to send out some invites again. Okay, I can send it again. Let me just put a note in here. Our live link. All right, I'm just sending this again. Okay, here we go. All All right, so everybody should receive that again. For those who are not here, hopefully they can uh, click on it and be good to go. All right. Well, let's we're going back to the book of ZechariahYahu, and now we're going to chapter 9. It is my hope that uh, our reading so far and reflection on Yahuwah's word has been a barakah to you all, family. Well, we're going to continue through, and again, our emphasis and focus here as we go through. We can't help but to deal with the feast in this, because you saw where Yahuwah was chiding with the people about their feasting, you know, them having their eating and their drinking. He's talking about the feast and so on. He said, listen, you did that for yourself. You didn't do that for me. You mean Yahuwah, who said that you must do this continually, forever, would say that you did it for yourself and not for me? What's wrong with him? Is he double-minded? No, he's not double-minded. You see, Yahuwah don't want defiled feasting. He don't want defiled food. So your hands need to be clean when you bring him an offering. You see, you're bringing stuff to him with dirty hands. That's not acceptable. You see, and so you know, we, the scriptures deal with it, so we deal with it, you see, as it comes up. But our focus here is not on the feast today. It's really looking at another touchy subject, and that's the subject of Mashiach. And so we're in the book of ZechariahYahu. We're moving on now to chapter 9. Bear with me just for a second here. Okay, so I'm going to share this text on the screen with you, family. I'm even learning a little bit more about sharing, about screen sharing, and so that's a wonderful thing. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing that momentarily with you. Bear with me just for a second while I get it in order. I'm trying to see if I can monitor YouTube at the same time. I'm trying to see if it's possible for me to do that. So let's see. I'm just trying to see if it's possible for me to do that. Let me just see real quickly if I can monitor it at the same time. And in doing so, I know I can't start it on this computer because I'm already using it, but maybe I can try to help along the way here. Try to point the family in the right direction. I don't think I'm gonna be able. Give me just a second. Bear with me just for a second, please. Bear with me just for a second. Bear with me. All right. Okay. Give me just a second. All right. Okay, family. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share the scriptures on screen. ZechariahYahu chapter 9 is where we're going now. Okay. It's an exciting text, I believe. And so I'm going to be putting it back on the screen as we pick up in our in our study. All right, ZechariahYahu chapter 9. The message of the word of Yahuwah against the land of Hadrach and Damascus, its resting place. When the eye of man and all the tribes of Yasharal or are on Yahuah. Okay, the message of the word of Yahuah against the land of Adrak and Damascus, its resting place. When the eye of man and all the tribes of Yasharal are on Yahuah. And Amath also borders on it. Zur and Zidon, though they are very wise. For Zur built herself a tower, heaped up silver like the dust and gold like the mud of the streets. See, Yahuwah shall dispossess her, and he shall destroy her power in the sea, and she shall be consumed by fire. Now, what is this talking about? Now, remember that what has been happening to this point is that Yahuwah is dealing with his people. Family, you remember in the scriptures it says that judgment begins in the house of Yahuwah, right? Judgment begins in the house of Yahuwah. That's what the scriptures tells us. So Yahuwah is not like a dysfunctional individual or a dysfunctional parent. Yahuwah is just in all that he does, and judgment begins in his house first. In other words, Yahuwah deals with his house before he goes and deals with anybody else's house. You see? He deals with his people first. Judgment begins in his house first. You see? There is no partiality with Yahuwah in that sense. And so judgment begins in his house first. And so Yahuwah was chiding with Yasharal because of their disobedience. Because of their corruption. He chided with Yasharal. But now he said that now when my people return to me, you see, the wicked have got to be glad for the time that Yasharal remains stubborn. Because as long as we remain stubborn, then they remain in safety from Yahuwah. You see, pretty much. Not totally, but pretty much. But the moment we return to Yahuwah as a people, and the moment we begin to live before Yahuwah the way we should be living, then things changes for the wicked. Things change for the wicked. Judgment comes upon the wicked. You see, judgment comes upon the wicked. The moment we as a people begin to turn to Yahuwah and begin to obey Yahuwah as we should, then it spells trouble for the wicked. And so Yahuwah chided with Yasharal. But then now we come to chapter 9, and what Yahuwah is saying here in chapter 9 is that when Yasharal is living in obedience to me, then woe to her oppressors. You see, woe to her oppressors. That's what Yahuwah is now saying to the oppressors of Yasharal. So you have had your time. And so now, when Shalom is restored to Yasharal, when Yasharal begin to live in obedience, then comes judgment upon those who have oppressed my people. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, Akut Kaya, once again. Wonderful to see that you made it into the room, Akut. You know, I'll tell you how to mute your mic and the camera. Just if you look toward the top of your screen, it looks like there's a line across there. Just click on the camera and it will turn red, and click on the mic and it will turn red, and that will mute you. So it looks like it's muted, but it's not. So once you click on it, there you go. You got it. You got it. Praise Yahuwah. Okay. Welcome. Wonderful to see you, Akut. I know that you've been on YouTube, and unfortunately we couldn't see you know, your post from there, but I'm just glad that you made it in this part of the room. Yes, so that's where we are now. So Yahuwah is now talking about bringing judgment on the oppressors of Yasharal. And so that's where we are in chapter 9. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the scriptures back on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and put the scriptures back on the screen. Let's see. Okay, so now let me find the text again, and I'll put that back up. Okay, Yeah, so see Yahuah. Okay, so we're talking about Zur. For Zur built herself a tower. Now, in the scriptures family, Zur is synonymous with also Zur is also synonymous with what you call Zur is also synonymous with what I call the name ain't coming back to me right now. Oh boy. Forget. It's not coming to me right now. It's not coming to me. But Adum. Adum. Okay. Zur is also synonymous with Adum, or who they call Edom. Now there is a doctrine out there that racify, let me say, racify the subject of Adum. And when in reality, when Yahuwah spoke about Adum, he does not speak from the perspective of race. Nonetheless, Adum today are the nations, the European nations. That's who Adum is today. But that's not who Adum. Adum, in other words, Adum have not always been white. It wasn't about skin color. People make it about skin color. Really wasn't about skin color. It's about the heart of a people. You see, it's not about skin color. It's about the heart of a people. You know what I did last night? I wanted to listen to something. I wanted to listen to somebody. I wanted to listen to my family in Yasharal. I wanted to find somebody that was proclaiming the word of Yahuwah, and that would be an encouragement to my Ruach. And so I was just looking through YouTube trying to find something to listen to. And I came across, and it's a gentleman that I listen to from time to time. There are quite a few things that I've never spoken with him, but I don't agree concerning his teachings on. He uses, I'll give you one example, like the name. I don't agree with his usage of the name Yahushua. I'm not sure if he say Yahuwah. I think he says Yahuwah, but Yahushua. And then there are other things too. I think he might be one who believes that you can keep the feast in captivity and so on. I'm not sure if he's still there. He used to be. But his name is, I don't know if you're familiar with him, Mr. Hebrew. That's not his name. That's the name of his channel. He said, don't call him Mr. Hebrew. Call him Jacob. I like the way he talks. Yeah, brother Jacob. Yes. He's a funny guy. I think he used to be on Pal Talk. I don't know if he's still on Pal Talk, but he's funny. I like him. I really do like him. But brother Jacob. Yeah. So I was listening to him last night, and he he had what some call Testimonial Tuesday. And so this Spanish man called in. He called in the show, and this man was weeping, man. He was crying. This man was weeping. He was crying. He said, I realize, and I think he still says God. I think he says God. But he says, I realize I came to a knowledge of who the people of the scriptures really are. And I realize who I am. And I realize what my people have done to your people. And he can't speak English very clearly. He was weeping the whole time. And Brother Jacob was telling him, explaining to him what the scriptures say about, now this is where Mr. Hebrew, or Brother Jacob, he teaches that the Gentiles are, the same thing that the church teaches about the Gentiles, which is not correct. So he was telling him that he's a Gentile. He was telling the man he's a Gentile. The man agrees he's a Gentile. And he was basically letting him know that according to the scriptures, the Gentiles is going to serve Yasharal, which is, no, not Gentiles. It's not Gentiles. Who are the Gentiles? The Gentiles are the scattered people, the divorced house of Yasharal. That's who the Gentiles are. But the strangers is going to serve Yasharal. The scripture make that clear, you see. And he was explaining this to this man, and this man was humble, so humbled and so hurt, because he went and he researched the history of his people, the Spaniards, the Europeans, and what they have done to our people. He was really hurt, and he was repentant, and he was on behalf of his people. He was asking forgiveness, and he say he just wanna please he wanna please Yahuwah. He wanna know Yahuwah. He wanna serve Yahuwah, and he don't mind being a servant in the kingdom, and all of this stuff he was saying. The amount of humility that he expressed was amazing to me, listening to him. The amount of humility he expressed was amazing, because you have a whole bunch of people out there who they're using the name Yahuwah, they're using the name Yahusha, and I'm talking about Caucasian people now. But when it comes to the identity of the people, they're in denial. They're in denial. They have no humility, and they don't take responsibility for anything, you see. And that's just a sad, dirty, low-down shame in itself. There's one man who has videos. He posts videos on YouTube. He's on Facebook. He's on Google Plus. He's on my friends list. He had sent me a friend request years ago. I came across one of his videos the other day, and he's teaching. In the video, he's teaching about the Akkad of Yahuwah, and I was delighted to see that. So I responded to his video, and I greeted him shalom, and I said, you know, it's wonderful to see you're teaching on the Akkad of Yahuwah. But in the midst of his teaching on the Akkad of Yahuwah, he is actually teaching that the Jews are the people of the scriptures. And so now this is a man that I've been friends with me on Facebook for many years now, for quite a few years. And so I know that he see all the stuff that I put on Facebook, and certainly he see all the stuff that other people have put on Facebook. And here it is in his video, he's talking about how they have twisted the scriptures, how the translators changed the scriptures, and so on. So I asked him, I said, Aki, I commented on his video. And so I just gave Yahuwah esteem, and I said, I praise Yahuwah for you sharing the information on the Akkad of Yahuwah. It is a very scarce truth, and so on. But I said, now I noticed that you're using the words Jew and you know, basically speaking in a way as if the Jews are the people of the scriptures. I said, now, in the same way that you have pointed out how they have changed stuff in the writings, you know, and changed words and phrases and so on, do you realize that the word Jew is not found in the scriptures, and that the Jews are not the people of the scriptures? I asked him this a few days ago now, and he has not responded yet. He hasn't responded yet. And unless Yahuwah does something in his heart, I don't think he's going to respond. Hey, listen, I have white people that used to be a part of this fellowship. And you know, when I use the term white people, I use it I use it not in a complimentary manner. When I use the term white people, it's not a term that I use normally. I'd rather say Caucasian or something. But when I say white people, I'm talking about the mindset of a people. I'm talking about a people with a certain mindset. Okay? Because a person with a white mindset is a person with a supremacist mindset, you see. Those are the kind of people who invented the idea of race, and who created the dictionary definition of white and black, that white is pure, black is impure, white is this, white is good, black is bad, white, you know, all of that stuff. And so when I say white people, when I say that we have had white people in this fellowship, I'm talking about people with the white supremacist mindset. And because I am one not to shy away from the truth and the hurt of systematic racism, and the lies that have been propagated upon us in the script, through, in the corruption of scripture by white people. Because I talk about those things, those white people have left this fellowship. Now I don't mind, and I really don't care if that's the way you are. I don't want to be you. I don't want to have nothing to do with you. You see, this ain't for you. You see, because Yahuwah is not for you if you're not for his people. You see, and that's just the bottom line. But when I hear this man last night, I hear his heart, and I hear his humility, and I hear his genuine thirst and passion and desire for truth and love for Yahuwah and his people. It really moved me. It was truly a baraka to me. And so, it was just quite something to listen to. It was just quite something to listen to. And basically he called in. Now, of course, he's speaking from the perspective of, and this is what's amazing to me. His understanding of Adum is from the understanding of more so the racial propagation of who Edom is, rather than from the perspective of what Adum or Edom really is today. Because the European nations today, they are Adum, they're Edom, operating in the spirit of Adum. It's not a race thing. You see, it's not a race thing. It's a heart thing. So they're operating in the spirit of Adum. You see. Now, but even I brought this man up. I mentioned this as I speak about Adum because his humility amazed me. Even when the way Adum is represented, because Mr. Hebrew or Brother Jacob, he speaks of Edom as from the perspective of race. But even when it's presented in that way, this man was humble enough to receive and accept the responsibility of his people in the plight of our people. And that's just amazing to me. And so he was, Brother Jacob was telling him about the judgment that's going to come upon his people and what he needs to do to not partake in that judgment. And he was saying that he was explaining how he's doing those things and how his family and the people in his church, they've turned their backs on him. You see? How his family and the people in his church have turned their backs on him and all of this stuff. You see, because he decides to stand on the side of truth rather than to continue to operate in error. You see, and so now, having come to a knowledge of the facts concerning Yahuwah and the people of Yahuwah, he is broken and devastated, thinking about what his people have done to our people. But that's just an amazing testimony to hear. So I brought that up because I'm reflecting now on Adum. I brought that up because I'm reflecting on, as they say, Edom. So let's go back to the text. I'm going to put it back on the screen here from ZechariAhu, chapter 9. Let me start sharing my screen once again. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to Aki Trevin. It is great to see you, Aki. I don't think that was Aki Trevin that I just saw. Not sure, but I didn't think that was Aki Trevin. I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom, Aki, and to everyone and anyone near listening, I want to say Shalom to you all. Okay.
Aki hears me.
So here, oh, that was, okay, great to see you, Aki. Yeah, great to see you, Shalom. Yeah, so here now, Yahuwah dealt with his people because judgment begins in the house of Yahuwah. Okay, so Yahuwah dealt with his people, and now he's turning his attention to those who have oppressed his people. And so that's where we're at now in chapter 9. Okay, I'm going to begin reading it again. The message of the word of Yahuwah against the land of Hadrach and Damascus, its resting place. When the eye of man and all the tribes of Yasharal are on Yahuwah. So once Yasharal's eyes get back to being on Yahuwah, woe to the wicked. And Amath also borders on it. Zor and Zidon, though they are very wise. For Zor built herself a tower, heaped up silver like the dust. By the way, let me pause for a second, and as we deal with the whole subject of Edom, and who Edom is. Notice now where Zor or Edom is. Zor is the offspring of Adum. Okay, notice where it is. It says it borders Damascus. That's not Europe. That's not along the isles of Europe. That's still in the territory of Africa. Okay, so Zor was not Europe. Now, there is a theory that those people moved from there, and they were the ones that went and populated, Greece and those areas. Yeah, that might be the case. There is, and you read in the book of, what they call the book? Yashar. It sounds like there is a possibility of that being the case. Sounds like there is a possibility. But what we do know is that they were not always, if in fact they did become white over time, they were not always white. Okay, and that's the problem with the doctrine, the Edom doctrine. The Edom doctrine says that, who was it? Yaakov, not Yaakov, but Yatshak, that he had two sons. How does it go again? I forget. I forget the lineage right now. But basically, these two seed came forth. One was white, one was black, coming out of their mother's womb, right? And so that's the basis of that doctrine. And the fact of the matter is, the basis of the doctrine is wrong. You see, right? Yaakov and Ashu or Esau, right? So Yatshak had two sons. That's the basis of the doctrine. One of them was black, one was white. But that's not correct, you see, because you can have black people of different shades of darkness, okay? Different shades of melanin. In my house, we have several children. And how many kids we have?
We have 3 shades of black.
Yeah,
in here.
we have 3 shades of melanin in our house, and they all came from me and my wife. You see, we got 8 of them. We got 3 shades of melanin between them. You see, got one that the scriptures would call him red, if you in translation. You see, now, so but that's the whole thing with that doctrine. Now, go back to the text. So Yahuwah is turning his attention. When you come in, family, if you could just make sure your mics are muted for me, that is greatly appreciated. Up on the top of your screen, there is a mic button and the camera button. If you just click on those, they have a thing going across them, a slash going across them, but it doesn't mean that it's muted. So if you just click on it, it will mute you. It turns red, that means you're muted. So you can just click on your camera, click on your microphone, and that mutes it. All right. Okay. Tada, Key. Yeah. So now, going back to the text. We have here. So Yahuwah now, we're in the book of TsakarYahu, chapter 9. Yahuwah is turning his attention to the wicked. This is after Yasharal now comes back in line with Yahuwah. Now Yahuwah turns his wrath on the wicked, those who have oppressed his people. And so now he says in verse 2, and Amath also borders on it, Zor and Zidon, though they are very wise. For Zor built herself a tower, heaped up silver like the dust, and gold like the mud of the streets. See, Yahuwah shall dispossess her, and he shall destroy her power in the sea, and she shall be consumed by fire. Now, pay attention to this. Remember earlier we talked about the book of TsakarYahu, how it is a dispensational prophecy. And we talked about what dispensational means. It is a dispersed prophecy, meaning then that it is a set of prophecies that deals with two different sets of time, two isolated sets of time. Okay? And so it's a dispensational prophecy. So the book of TsakarYahu is dealing with a captivity of Yasharal that they had already experienced, and it is also a captivity and a regathering, but it is also dealing with a future captivity and regathering. It deals with our captivity and our regathering. You see, it deals with our captivity. It deals with the captivity and regathering of the final dispersion of Yasharal. You see, and so that brings us, puts the spotlight now on us. You see, the future, the future that it points to is to the latter reign of Yasharal. Okay, so notice though what it says about Zor. And again, to talk about nations working in the spirit of Adum or Edom or Zor. What does it say about Adum or Zor? Because they're synonymous. It says that Zor is wise, meaning that they have, not wise, it's a translation issue, not wise in the sense of having wisdom. They have knowledge. Wisdom and knowledge should not be confused. They have technological knowledge. He said that she has technological knowledge. She is technologically advanced. You see, she is technologically advanced, is what he is saying. Zor, Edom, Adum, technologically advanced. She is wealthy. She has stored up her gold and her silver. She has built herself towers. She heaped up silver and gold like dust, and gold like the mud of the streets. You see, this is what Adum has done. Now look at Adum today. We know Adum today to be European nations. And that's the same thing Adum did in that time. And it's the same thing that Adum has done today. And Adum believe that its military strength and its financial acquiescence is going to save it. You see, they believe that they can continue to rip people off through their Ponzi Wall Street schemes, because you see, Wall Street is just an entire Ponzi scheme altogether. And they believe that they can continue to build their wealth by continuing to oppress the poor and building their military. And that's going to make them indispensable. But Yahuwah says not so. Verse 3, for Zor built herself a tower, built her military capabilities, built her defenses. For Zor built herself a tower, heaped up silver like the dust and gold like the mud of the streets. But see, Yahuwah shall dispossess her, and he shall destroy her power in the sea, and she shall be consumed by fire. He shall destroy her power in the sea. Her navy will be destroyed, and she shall be consumed by fire. This thing that seems so impenetrable, this thing that seems so humongous, this thing that seems so undefeatable, this thing that seems so great will be destroyed. Ashkelon sees it and fears. Atzah too, writhing in anguish, and Akron, for her expectation has dried up. And the king shall perish from Atzah, and Ashkelon shall not be inhabited, and the half-breed shall settle in Ashdod. So I shall cut off the pride of the Philistines. Now, this is an interesting verse right here. I came across some people. I came across some people on YouTube or Facebook somewhere, and some Christians or something they were. I don't remember what they were, but they were using this verse right here to say that that Ashdod is America and Obama is the Antichrist. And this is the sign that we're living at the end of times. Oh, family, I want to stop here for 1 second. I want to say something. I want to make sure I can see the chat while I speak. We need to be careful of end of time prophets. We need to be careful of end of time prophets. And we need to be careful, even ourselves, of declaring the end from the beginning. In as much as, there's a song that I listen to. It's a beautiful song sung by one of our Akut. But in the song, this song was written some years ago. And in the song it's saying that we have reached the pinnacle of our awakening. Something, maybe not the exact words, but it's a song that I would often play in the room. But in the song, one of the lines says that basically what she is saying is that Yasharal, we have reached the height of our awakening. Like this was years ago when she wrote this song. And basically she's saying that all that is to be awakened is awake, you see. And so now the next thing we can expect any day now, any minute now, is for Yahuah to appear. Now, that's one person. Bob Marley have another song called Exodus. And the song Exodus by Bob Marley was written in the 70s. One of the lines in the song Exodus says, it says Exodus, movement of Jah people, movement of your people. It says, open your eyes and look within. Are you satisfied with the life you're living? And it goes on to say, we are the generation. I forget. I forget how it goes, but basically that we are the generation that comes through the Exodus and enter into the promised land. Now, Bob Marley wrote that song years ago, decades ago now, and the people that were singing that song at the time, who had any knowledge of what Bob Marley was talking about, really were convinced that in their lifetime they were going to see the coming of our Creator, and that we were going to be gathered and delivered. We were going to be gathered and delivered back to our homeland. That's what the song Exodus is all about. Yep, Ben-Ami also thought so. And many others have felt and thought this. And so I say this now to say that we need to be careful. By the way, let me just say Shabbat Shalom to Aki Patrick there. I just realized that was Aki Patrick that came in. Welcome, Aki. Glad you made it. So I say this to say that we have to be careful about last day prophets, and we need to be careful about what kind of timing we put on Yahuah, and then dare to open our mouths to declare when Yahuah is going to be, when Yahuah is going to come, and when the end is going to be. Yahuah's timing is not our timing. Yahuah, the way Yahuah view time is not the same way we view time, you see. And many people err and have erred because of this thinking, you see. We can say, well, It's never been this bad before. This has got to be the end. See how many people are waking up? This has got to be the end. There are people right now who believe that, well, some of them have already been proven wrong. Some thought it was going to be 2012. Some say it's going to be 2017. So for some people, we only have one more year. For others, it's going to be 2019. For some, it's going to be 2035. You have all kinds of dates out there, you see. Now, we have to be careful of that. Nonetheless, I say all that to say that I've seen somebody on YouTube or somewhere using this verse from the book of ZechariahYahu to say that, let me find it, let me go back to it, to say that, let me just share my screen again, family. And so I've seen people using this verse to say that Ashdod is America, and that the half-breed that is spoken of is Obama, and that Obama is the Antichrist, and that Obama is the so-called Antichrist. Okay? Now, who is the Antichrist? And is the Antichrist, give me just a second, please, family. Yeah, so I've heard people who, using this verse, they say Obama is Antichrist. Obama is not Antichrist. Obama is pro-Christ. Okay? And did Yahuah warn us about the coming of an Antichrist? No. He warned us about the pro-Christ. That's what Yahuah warns us about. We are to be anti-Christ. You see? We ought to be anti-Christos. Because Christos or Christ is an idol. So we ought to be this anti-Christos. What Yahuah warned against absolutely is anti-Mashiach. People who are anti-Mashiach, anti-Yahuah. That's what Yahuah warned against. He did not warn us against some antichrist. You see, he warned us against anti-Mashiach. Not the same. Antichrist and anti-Mashiach is not the same. You see. All right, let's get back to the text. All right, so, and the half-breed shall settle in Ashdod, so I shall cut off the pride of the Philistines, and shall take away his blood from his mouth, and the abominations from between his teeth. And he shall remain even he to our Elohim, and he shall be like a leader in Yehuda, and Akron like a Yabushi, Jebusite, as they'd say. And I shall encamp around my house against an army, against him who possessed by and him who returns, so that no oppressor passes through them again. For now I have seen with my eyes. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. See, your king is coming to you. He is upright and endowed with deliverance, humble and riding on a donkey, a colt, the foal of a donkey. Now, family, why are we in this text again? What's one of the reasons we're here in the book of ZechariAhu again? What's the subject? I know we haven't really talked about it much. Mashiach. 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 And so that's why we're here. We're looking for Mashiach in the scriptures. And this is a prophecy that was fulfilled, that Mashiach came. Now, of course, who is Mashiach? Mashiach is no other than Yahuwah himself. And so this is a prophecy that was fulfilled by Mashiach, where Mashiach came and he rode into Jerusalem on a donkey. And so this is a prophecy of what would be and what did come to pass. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. See, your king, your sovereign is coming to you. He is righteous and endowed with deliverance. He is the deliverer. Humble and riding on a donkey, a colt, the foal of a donkey. Mashiach. This is Mashiach. So even if, for those out there who teach against Mashiach, even if we say, okay, even if you throw away the new writings, you still are going to find Mashiach in the rest of Scripture. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. See, your sovereign is coming to you. He is righteous, he is upright and endowed with deliverance. Humble and riding on a donkey, a colt, the foal of a donkey. And I shall cut off the chariot from Ephraim, and the horse from Jerusalem, and the battle bow shall be cut off, and he shall speak shalom to the nations, to the scattered ones, and his rule is from sea to sea, and from the river to the ends of the earth. Now let us pay attention to verse 10, because there is some corruption in the midst. It suggests that Mashiach Yahuwah is coming to make peace with the nations, or to bring peace to the nations. That's what it's suggesting, but that's not what the scripture is saying. Yahuwah is not coming to make peace with the nations. He's not coming to bring peace to the nations. Yahuwah only promises shalom to one nation, and that is Yasharal. So family, when you see nations in scripture, nations comes also from the word Goyim or Gui. You see, nations is sometimes springs directly from it, sometimes comes from a related word to it. And because of that, you have a mix-up in the way it's translated sometimes. Because the same word Goyim can also be translated as nations, as well as it can be translated as strangers, as well as it can be translated as divorced ones. You see, the same word. And so it's a matter of context as to know what it's talking about. So verse 10 says, and I shall cut off the chariot from Ephraim, meaning that Ephraim, the 10 tribes, will no longer be pursued. And the horse from Jerusalem, no longer will Jerusalem be trampled. And the battle bow shall be cut off, and he shall speak shalom to the scattered ones, meaning the people who have been scattered will once again live in shalom. The people who have been oppressed will once again live in shalom. That's what Yahuwah is saying here in his word. The people who have been scattered, the people who have been oppressed, the people who have been dispossessed will be regathered and will once again live in shalom. That's what Yahuwah is saying. It's not a promise to the nations. Yahuwah never promised shalom to the nations. The only thing Yahuwah promised to the nations is judgment. That's the only promise that the nations have of and from Yahuwah. Notice again, if you go back to the beginning of the chapter that we're reading, how did Yahuwah start out? He started out by telling the people who have oppressed Yasharal, the nations, he said that once Yasharal have turned their faces back to me, you are coming under my judgment. So how can he then come down a little bit further and now promise them shalom? It's nonsense. So again, that's just a corruption in translation. All right. And his rule is from sea to sea and from the river to the ends of the earth. So the time is coming when Yahuwah will rule the entire earth, he and his people. Also, you, verse 11, because of the blood of your contract, I shall send your prisoners out of the pit. This is Yahuwah speaking of his deliverance. Also you, because of the blood of your contract, I shall send your prisoners out of the pit. Return to the stronghold, you prisoners of the expectation. You, because of the blood of your contract, I shall send your prisoners out of the pit. Because of the blood of your contract, I shall send your prisoners out of the pit. What's that talking about? It's talking about deliverance through Mashiach. You know, family, when you study the scriptures, my wife and I was having this conversation. I think she had asked me the question this morning. She was reading in the book of Uyakara, Leviticus, and you know, she was talking about all of the blood that's in the writing. All of the blood that's in the writing. And so she said, you know, basically, when you look at it, it would seem as if, for lack of a better term, it could seem as if Yahuwah is a vampire. You know, you just have this thirst for blood. And so her question was concerning the sacrifices. If there is no longer a need to be redeemed by the sacrifices, then why would we continue with all of these sacrifices? You know, is Yahuwah just bloodthirsty? And family, and that's a valid question. Now, when you study the scriptures, you'll find that the scriptures is a bloody place. When you study the scriptures, you will find that the scriptures is a bloody place. The feasts, they're bloody events. They're bloody events. Lot of blood. But what is the emphasis? Is the emphasis on the blood, or is there a message in the blood? Is the emphasis really on blood? Is Yahuwah bloodthirsty? You see? Yup, when Yahuwah comes back, it's going to be a bloody event as well. You see? But what's with all the blood in the scriptures? You see, it's really not about the blood. It's really not about the blood. It's about what blood represents. And according to Yahuwah, what does blood represent, family? Life. So it's really not about blood. What is it about? It's about life. It's really not about blood. It's about life. You see, now understand this, that Yahuwah says that in order for there to be forgiveness of transgression, life must be taken. Life is required. In order for, you see, it says that the payment for transgression is what? The penalty, the payment, the satisfaction for transgression, the payment for transgression is death. The payment for transgression is death. You can't have death without the shedding of blood. Because if the blood is not spilt, then life remains. If the blood is not spilt, then life remains. You see? And hence you see all the blood. But the wages, the payment for transgression is death. And so blood must be shed. Without the shedding of blood, there is no payment. There is no satisfying of transgression. There is no satisfying for guilt. No atonement. You see. So blood must be shed. Now, when we return to the feast, yes, the sacrifices will remain. The blood will be there, but you know why it will be there? Because we, as a people in captivity, do not grasp the magnitude of the price that was paid on our behalf. We don't grasp it. You see people going over there to the land and they're got a bunch of them, and they get one, they get a goat or they get a sheep and they slaughter it, and they say they're having Passover. Might have 10 people, 15 people, 20 people. They slaughter this goat and they're having Passover. The blood, the little blood that comes from that one goat really do not convey the magnitude of the price that was paid for our transgression. You know when it hits home? You know when we will realize the magnitude of the price that was paid on our behalf? You know when we will realize it? When the millions of us are regathered and we go to slaughter, and you see all the blood that comes from millions of people bringing their slaughterings. That's when the magnitude of the price that was paid on our behalf will finally sink in. And that's what the slaughterings are about when we are regathered. They are to show us what we have truly not grasped. It is in remembrance of the price that was paid on our behalf. The fact that Yahuah, the only perfect sacrifice, would come and lay down his life in order to make atonement for us, to deliver us back to himself. Because no one else was worthy. Now, he says also, because of the blood of your contract, I shall send you your prisoners out of the pit, and it is his blood, the blood of Mashiach, that deliver us from the pit. Return to the stronghold, you prisoners of the expectation. Yeah, we are prisoners of the expectation. Even today, I declare that I return double to you. Or I shall bend Yehudah for me, I shall fill the bowl with Ephraim, and I shall stir up your sons, O Zion, against your sons, O Greece, and I shall make you like the sword of a mighty man. And Yahuah shall appear. O Greece, who is he talking about? Is he talking about the Greeks really? No. He's talking about his people scattered in Greece. I shall make you like a sword of a mighty man, and Yahuah shall appear for them, and his arrow go forth like lightning, and the sovereign Yahuah sound the ram's horn, and he shall go with whirlwinds from the south. Yahuah of hosts shall shield them, and they shall devour and trample on sling stones, and they shall drink roar as if with wine, and they shall be filled like basins, like the corners of the altar. And Yahuah their Elohim shall save them in that day. Who shall save them? And Yahuah their Elohim shall save them in that day, deliver them in that day, as the flock of his people, for the stones of a diadem, sparkling over his land. For what goodness is his, and what comeliness is his. Grain make the young men thrive, and new wine the maidens. Now we're going to a very important and interesting chapter here in ZechariahYahu. That is chapter 10. And I'm just going to finish chapter 10, and then we're going to stop here for this evening, family. But again, we're looking at the subject of Mashiach, and the book of ZechariahYahu tells us the name of the Mashiach and tells us the work of the Mashiach and identify who Mashiach is. And as we're seeing now, what we're beginning to see, so we saw the name of Mashiach, we saw the workings of Mashiach, some of the workings of Mashiach so far, and now we're beginning to see who Mashiach is. Ask Yahuwah for rain in the time of the latter rain. Yahuwah who makes storm clouds, and he gives them showers of rain, the plants in the field to everyone. Ask Yahuwah for rain in the time of the latter rain. Yahuwah who makes storm clouds, and he gives them showers of rain, the plants in the field to everyone. Ask Yahuwah for rain in the time of the latter rain. You see, this is not just about regular rain that he's talking about. This is about the regathering of the people. Let it rain on your people, Yahuwah. Let knowledge flow down like a stream. Let your word permeate your people. Ask Yahuwah for rain in the time of the latter rain. Yahuwah who makes storm clouds, and he gives them showers of rain, the plants in the field to everyone. Make provision for your people even in these last days, Yahuwah. For the household idols spoke emptiness, the diviners saw falsehood. You see, we can think easily about our people back then, but what about our people today? How about us with our household idols? Whether it be Jesus Christ hanging on our wall, whether it be Malcolm X or Martin Luther King or anybody else that we have idolized. For the household idols spoke emptiness. The diviners saw falsehood and relate dreams of deceit. They conform in vain. Therefore, they have wandered about like sheep. They are afflicted, for there is no shepherd. My wrath burns against the shepherds, and I lay a charge against the leaders, talking about the leaders of Yasharal, the people who are supposed to be guiding the people of Yahuwah, yet they're misleading the people. For Yahuwah of hosts shall visit his flock. Yeah? Who will visit? Yahuwah will visit his flock, the house of Yahudah, and make them like his splendid horse in battle. From him comes the cornerstone, from him the tent peg, from him the battle bow. What comes from him? Pay attention to the cornerstone. You see, in the writings concerning Mashiach, Yahusha, he is called the cornerstone. Yes, whether it be Prince or Michael Jackson or any other idol we have created. You see, the cornerstone, the tent peg, where does he come? From Yahuwah. From him comes the cornerstone. From him the tent peg. From him the battle bow. From him every ruler together. And they shall be like mighty men who trample down the mud of the streets in the battle. And they shall fight because Yahuwah is with them. And the riders on horses shall be put to shame. And I shall make the house of Yahudah mighty and save the house of Yahusaph. And I shall bring them back because I have compassion on them. And they shall be as though I had not pushed them aside. For I am Yahuwah their Elohim, and I answer them. Talk about might. Our people suffer from pride, no doubt. But it's also interesting that as prideful as we are, at the same time, our pride, we can't envision ourselves as a mighty people. We're prideful, but we can't envision ourselves as a mighty people. And that's funny. That's a little dysfunctional, maybe a whole lot dysfunctional. You would think for a people who is as prideful as we are, then we wouldn't have an issue thinking about ourselves being mighty. But we don't think of ourselves as a mighty people. We're filled with pride, but we can't think of ourselves as a mighty people. But yet, historically, we were a mighty people and will once again be a mighty people. The most of our people have issues with that. Even with thinking that the day would come when we would be a mighty people, meaning a strong people in every sense of the word, a people who can defend ourselves, defend our nation, a mighty people. We have issues thinking in terms like that. And Ephraim shall be as a mighty man, and their heart shall rejoice as with wine, and their children shall see and rejoice, their heart exulting in Yahuah. I shall whistle for them and gather them, for I shall ransom them. Pay attention to that now, ransom them. Let me ask you this, family. We're talking about Mashiach, but who is speaking? Who, according to the scriptures? Let me read this again, verse 7. And Ephraim shall be as a mighty man, and their heart shall rejoice as if with wine, and their children shall see and rejoice, their heart exulting in Yahuah. Now, to this point, who is speaking? Is this Yahuah speaking? Yeah, it's Yahuah speaking. This is Yahuah speaking. Now, you notice the word ransom near? Ransom, ransom, ransom. See that word ransom? Yep. Redeem, ransom. An exchange, yeah, must be made. A financial transaction must take place. Payment has to be made. Ransom. We have been held hostage by the enemy. We had been held hostage by the enemy, and a ransom had to be made. It's not so much that we were kidnapped. We weren't kidnapped by the enemy. That's why Yahuah paid a ransom. We went into the enemy's territory. We knowingly crossed the enemy's border. The enemy did not come sneaking in the middle of the night and snuck us out of our beds and then take us into his territory. And now Yahuah says, well, I'm going to have to pay a ransom to get y'all back. No. If that was the case, Yahuah would not pay a ransom. He would go in there and he would just tear up the enemy. He would just destroy the enemy and get his people. But because Yahuah is just, then Yahuah recognizes that the enemy did not creep in the middle of the night, come through the window and steal us and take us into his territory. No, that's not what happened. We knowingly went into the enemy's territory. But because of the great love that Yahuah has for us, he says, okay, you know what? I love them so much and I want them back. The enemy says, in order for me to get them back, because they knowingly crossed his border, a price is going to have to be paid. And so Yahuah says, I will pay the ransom. You see Mashiach right there? Ransom. Yahuah, HaMashiach, ransomed us. But our ransom comes in stages. Our deliverance comes in stages. First portion of the deliverance is that blood, the ransom had to be paid. But then watch this. Even after the ransom was paid, the enemy don't play fair. He didn't just give us up. He got the money. Yeah, he got paid. But he didn't just give us up, and we didn't give up. We didn't try to get away either. So we're still in his territory. So now, Yahuah is going to have to come back and take us by force. Not against our will, but as long as we're willing, he's willing to take us by force, because the enemy is not just going to give us up. A people who have been used to free labor is not just going to turn over their slave. You're going to have to kill them to get that slave. And that's what's going to happen. Yahuah is going to wipe out the wicked because they'll leave him with no choice. You see. And so a ransom had to be paid. A ransom had to be paid. Who paid the ransom? According to the scriptures, Yahuah. He paid the ransom. That makes Yahuah our Mashiach. Now watch this. I shall whistle. Who is I? Yahuah. Shall whistle for them and gather them. For I shall ransom them, and they shall increase as they once increased. Though I sow them among peoples, they shall remember me in places far away. Beautiful. Though I sow them among peoples, they shall remember me in places far away. That's what's happening to us right now, family. We are remembering him in places far away. And they shall live together with their children, and they shall return, and they shall return. And I shall bring them back from the land of Mitzrayim, from the land of their bondage, and gather them from Ashur, and bring them into the land of Gilead and Lebanon, until no more room is found for them. And he shall pass through the sea of distress, and strike the waves of the sea, and all the depths of the river shall dry up, and the pride of Ashur shall be brought down, and the scepter of Mitzrayim be taken away. And I shall make them mighty in Yahuah, so that they walk up and down in his name, declares Yahuah. Hallelujah. Notice that language. I shall make them mighty in Yahuah, so that they walk up and down in his name. This is Yahuah talking about himself. So that they walk up and down in his name, declares Yahuah. I shall make them mighty in Yahuah, so that they walk up and down in his name, declares Yahuah. That is Yahuah speaking of himself. Guess you could say in third person. Why would Yahuah speak of himself like this? Because Yahuah has many attributes. And one of those attributes is his delivering attributes, Hamashiach. Well, we're going to stop here for this evening, family. Again, it is my hope that our study here in the book has been a barakah to you. But also I want to ask if there are any comments or questions as we prepare to close. Let me stop screen sharing. Please go ahead, Aki. Aki Maganyahu, please go ahead, Aki.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, Aki. Can they hear you well?
Praise Yahuwah. I want to apologize, family, because I had to I guess, abruptly pull out of the group. I had some unexpected company, which is my neighbor, Amika.
Oh.
We had a good conversation. It was an opportunity to plant a few seeds.
Praise Yahuwah.
And I wanted to ask you, family, if you would keep her in your prayers, because I shared the name with her. I got to, we've been friends for several weeks now, and got to know each other fairly well because we live in the same complex. So we get to spend a lot of time together, and I got to share the name with her, and she's a very wise person. And her comment was, "Well, you can show me, but he has to tell me." So I would ask you to keep her in your prayers, family, that Yahuwah would reveal himself to her. I'm 99% positive that she is a daughter of Yasharal. So just wanted to bring that to the room and ask you to keep her in your prayers. Thank you, family. Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to mute the mic.
Praise Father. And to thou for sharing, Aki, and we absolutely will. We certainly will. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to Akut Didi. I saw a notification that Akut Didi came in. I just want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, Akut. It's wonderful to see you on the Shabbat. Wonderful to know that you make it. I don't know if if you were able to listen in on YouTube, and we're just making it into the room. We're actually coming now to the end of our fellowship. But nonetheless, it is wonderful to see you. Okay, Amika, Tuda Aki, Tuda for sharing, and we'll certainly keep her in prayer Aki. May Yahuwah barak her hearing and give understanding and knowledge concerning him, his name, and his truths. Hallelujah. Okay. Praise Yahuwah. Hallelujah. Yahuwah. Any other comments or questions or testimony here before we close, family? And don't be mic shy. Please go ahead, Akut. Akut Sharya.
Hello, Yahuwah, praise Yahuwah. Can I be heard?
Allahu Yahuwah. Yes, you can, Akut.
Akid Michael, I just want you to know that was a beautiful lesson. That was so good. And I love this venue here. So I'm just praying that we can all, we can find another level of this venue where we can have more people.
Yes.
In the room, as you were speaking earlier.
Yes.
And that as time, excuse me, that as time go by, we can truly learn how to come in here, all of us.
Yes.
So I'm just going to be praying about that, and I'll just be keeping the family in prayer as usual, and keep me in prayer too. You know, I go to school.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm going for this company, but I have to really be. I don't know how to. How do I want to say it? It's just such a small group of us in the classroom. Everybody is so close in the room, and I want to be standoffish, but I don't know if I do or don't, because I don't want to make people feel like, oh, she's this and she's that, and I don't really know what to do. I mean, I want to just stay to myself, but I really don't know what to do. I don't. Can you help me on that?
Yes. Akut, so I'd use my job as an example. It's a fine line that I have to walk, because I'm in a position of management where I gotta manage, lead people, and direct people. And so I have to some extent, be available to people, while at the same time I have to also recognize where even if it was outside of Yahuwah, and bear with me while I explain this. Even if it was outside of Yahuwah, even if I wasn't serving Yahuwah, in managing people, and when you're dealing with different kinds of personalities and people who may want to manipulate situations at times, you have to know where to draw a line. And so while you need to make yourself available, you also have to be able to draw a line where the availability stops, and that's just in general intermingling and interacting with people from that perspective. Now, as one who serves Yahuwah and being in the workplace and being in a position of management and leading, and again having to make myself available and having to draw a balance where I don't seem so standoffish, because I'm working with people who cares nothing about Yahuwah, who even while they're esteeming their Jesus, their mouth is as foul and corrupt and profane and defiled as whatever. But these are the people I have to deal with and interact with. And so I can't, for the sake of work, I can't just cut myself off, shut myself out. I have to be, to some extent available. But at the same time, too, I've got to use the wisdom of Yahuwah to know when, okay, this is as far or as much availability as I'm going to be. So when needed, I'll be present. But if I'm not needed, you'll have to come find me, because I'm not going to be hanging in your presence, because your conversation does something to me. I can't deal with it. I prefer not to deal with it. You see, your foul conversation and just all what you do is not my way of living. And I don't have to tell you this. I just basically and you know it, but you just don't care enough to keep it to yourself. But then if I should begin to express myself, it becomes an issue, So basically, you just use wisdom in a situation. You don't cut yourself totally off. It's a classroom environment, and of course, you could just sit there and just close yourself out. But at the same time, Akut, you don't want to do that. And you know, we see people right now in the moment, and we don't know how they will be, what they will be, who they will be in the next moment, because the way they are today ain't necessarily how they're going to be tomorrow. It's not where they are today is not necessarily where they're going to end up. And you don't want to just totally cut people off, write people off, because who knows, Yahuwah might use you in their life to be a change in their life. And so we can't be so standoff or cut off that we can be of no good or no use in that sense. But at the same time, too, we have to know where to draw the line. And it's a challenge, Akut. And so my best advice to you is just to continue to pray and ask Yahuwah for wisdom with each day and every passing moment in that, because he will lead us moment by moment. And just continue to ask him to give you wisdom as you go, as you go. It's a result of living in this cesspool that I talked about earlier. It's the result of living in this mangled gumbo, for the lack of a better terminology, mushed up gumbo or whatever, you see. So it's a challenge, but certainly Yahuwah will give you the wisdom that you need, and he'll see you through, Akut.
Okay, and you're absolutely right. It's a challenge. All day that I'm there, all I hear is the Jesus and the God and the Lord and all day long. I just cringe, and then every 6th day we have a quiz every 6th day, and so we have a breakfast review. We bring breakfast and we review the quiz before we take it. Mm-hmm. So what oh boy, I don't want to be sitting over in a table by myself and everybody else sitting at one table, because that's how it would be. Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking that I may not bring breakfast for myself anymore, mm-hmm. and just say I ate before I got here or something, mm-hmm. because we shouldn't be eating with them, at least, should we, right?
Yep, that's right. The scriptures tells us that.
Okay, so I'll just eat my breakfast before I, leave to go to school, or say I did or whatever, but okay, I'll keep praying, I tell you, it's hard. But $2 for that. Now release the mic.
Praise Father, and you're welcome, Akut. May Yahuwah just guide you and give you wisdom to maneuver the maze, because we're truly living in a maze. All right. Praise Father, and Tada for sharing, Akut. Yes, certainly, Aki, keep me in prayer. Our Aki Franklin says, I've been dealing with a lot of things spiritually. Praise Father, Aki. Yes, indeed. May Yahuwah strengthen you and give you wisdom in it and bring deliverance in his time. Halal hu Yahuwah. Praises to Yahuwah. Deliverance will come. Deliverance shall come. Halal hu Yah. All right. Once again, we give Yahuwah praise, honor, and esteem, and We say Tuda Yahuah for this day, for this fellowship, and for making this possible. And family, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking into Akut Mahalia. Could you remind me, Akut, of what it's called again? If we should look into like a subscribed version of this that would allow more people to be able to come into the space, into the room. Okay, got you, Aki. Okay. Yes, yes.
Michael, bring me a bag.
Okay, work. Okay. Okay, Google plus work. Okay. To that. All right. Yeah, so we're going to pray. We'll pray for you in that, Aki. May Yahuwah bring change, and I believe in time he will. I believe in time he will, Aki. He will bring about a change in that situation. Okay, it's due in July. Okay. Okay. What state are you in again, Aki? Oh, you're in Florida. Okay, you're in Tampa. Okay. Okay. And so to renew your lease, you're in a situation where you would need to you need okay. So praise Yahuwah. I was wondering if you were in a situation where it's you needed someone else in order to afford the lease, and so that might be something that kind of keep you. Uh, okay, praise Yahuwah. Well, we're going to be praying for Yahuwah's favor in your search, Aki. May Yahuwah just continue to barak you, to favor you. And we certainly know and believe that he will provide a place. Akut al-Yashaba is not here today, but I don't think she would mind me sharing her testimony in that regard very quickly. I'll just give a shortened version of it. But a few years ago when Akut al-Yashaba first started coming to the room, I did not even know. I didn't know of her condition until it was like the last minute. But she was where she was living. She had to leave. I think her lease was expiring, and she couldn't. The rent was going up. She couldn't afford the new rent, and so she had to leave. Problem was, though, she did not have the money for a down payment, and she didn't know where she was going to go. She didn't know what she was going to find that where she it would be affordable for her. Well, there was a lady who had been fellowshipping with us for a few months, and this lady, even though she turned out to be very adversarial, I guess I would say, to this assembly, and just to Yahuwah's word overall. She was into some stuff that was just, I don't know how to put it, but she this lady, she had started coming to the fellowship, and no one had asked her for anything, but she decided to send some money to. She had sent some money to us. We were going through a difficult time. I hadn't said anything in the room, but she had sent some money to my family, and she decided to send some money to Akut al-Yashaba. And it wasn't until she had sent this money to Akut al-Yashaba that Akut al-Yashaba shared what she was going through, that she was on the verge of homelessness. And this lady contacted her, not knowing her situation, contacted her. Yahuwah had her contact her and told her she wanted to send her some money, and Wanted to know if she had a need and how much it would be, and she gave her exactly what she needed for the down payment, for this place that she got into. So basically, Yahuah was just right on time. And that was a baraka. So, I've seen Yahuah work on behalf of myself and my family. He continued to do that, and I've seen him work on behalf of his people time and time again. And so, Aki, I know that Yahuah will work on your behalf. And we're just going to continue to pray and ask Yahuah for his favor in that. Okay, I see. Okay, this is I see a link. I got the link. I opened it, Aki. I'm trying to. I guess I'll go back and read it. Google My Business. My Business. Okay, let me just see something. I'm trying to see what this information was. Bear with me just for a second. Okay. All right. Oh, it's some stuff about Google Works. Okay. All right. I'm going to be looking into that. I'm going to take a look into it and see how we can, because I really like the platform. It's easier on everybody's computer. And if we can just find our way here, we'll be all right. If everybody can find their way here, then we'll be all right. So I'm going to be, okay, the last one. Okay, Tada, Akut, Tada. So I'm going to be looking into it, and hopefully we can get it where it works for everybody. And so we'll be looking into that. All right. Well, once again, to Yahuah be all praise, honor, and esteem. Family, I'm not going to hold you any longer. We're going to prepare to close out, and we will be on tomorrow evening for Foundational Facts Fellowship, Yahuah willing. And so I'm going to. Should I, starting at $7.99. Wow. Boy, that's a steep price. Yeah, that's a very steep price. Wow. In as much as I'd like to use it, yeah, that's way a lot. Yeah, that's an amazing price. Yeah, that's a hurtful price. Yeah. I think what we might have to do is we'll utilize Google Hangout for YouTube purposes, and so we can live stream on YouTube, but we may still have to utilize Fuse in the alongside it. So I think that's what we'll do, family, because that price is it's really steep. Okay. Yeah. Fuse, believe it or not, Fuse has some ridiculous prices too. We just use we've been using the cheaper offering that they provide. But a lot of these platforms are quite expensive. We will use both, Akut. I'm going to see about using both of them. Yeah, I'm going to see about using both. So if there's anyone who have trouble with Fuse, hopefully you can use Google Plus. I can't interact freely between the two of them, so I won't be able to keep up, on both of them. I'll have to kind of focus on one while the other one's running. But I hope to use both and see how that works out. If it doesn't create a feedback, that is, because when you have two different audio program running, then that could create some other problems, feedbacks and stuff like that. I'll have to see how it goes. But if I can utilize both of them without it creating issues in that sense, then we'll use both. Excuse me. All right. Well, once again, So tomorrow evening, Yahuwah willing, we will be back for Foundational Facts Fellowship. Um, uh, oh, yes, indeed. Tuda Akut. So if you're listening to us perhaps for the first time or the second time and you're not aware of Fuse and how that works, you would go to fuse.com or fusemeeting.com and you would download their app. That's www.fuse. I think you could go to fusemeeting.com. Download their app. They're at fusemeeting.com, or even if you go to fuse.com, download their app. They have a download for Mac and they have a download for Windows. And then once you have the app downloaded, you will need our meeting number. For the regular meeting, it's 232-03. Let me just put that 232-03-431. That's for our regular meeting. And yes, Fuse with a Z, not an S. Fuse with a Z. F-U-Z-E. Fuse.com or fusemeeting.com. Yes, and so the regular meeting number is 232-03-431. Now, on every other first day, we do have Foundational Facts Fellowship, and that's where we open up a different room in Fuse, Foundational Facts Room. That number is different. I don't remember what it is offhand. Don't remember what that number is offhand. What I would do is, Tuda Akut, it's 288-09-658. So Foundational Facts Fellowship, that's where we come together, first day evening, Sunday evening, at 7 p.m. every other, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and that number is 288-09-658. 288-09-658. All right. Well, that's it for now, family, and Yahuwah willing, I'll be seeing you all soon. I'm going to close out in prayer, and then I'm going to say Leila Tub to each and every one of you. So let us pray. Father, we give you thanks and praise, hallelujah, for your goodness, for your great mercy, for your strength, and for your love. We thank you for keeping us, for your preservation. We say Tuda Yahuwah for your word. Ab Yahuwah, even as we come before you now, I want to lift up our family before you. For those who are in need, of direction, for those who are in financial need, for those who are in need of a home, for those who are in need of healing, for those who are in need of strength, restoration, whatever the need is, Yahuwah. I pray, Yahuwah, that you would look upon your children, Aki Franklin, Akut Sharia. Father, you know their situation, you know what they're faced with, you know the challenges. Aki Yahu, Akut Didi and her husband, all of the family, Yahuwah, your people who are faced with challenges and struggles, living in this captivity. I pray, Yahuwah, for your healing. I pray for your provision. I pray for your restoration. I pray for your shalom. Ab Yahuwah, I pray for your favor. Pray that you would barak and restore your people, strengthen your people. May the joy of Yahuwah be the strength of us all. And pray that you would continue to lead us and guide us in your word, that you would teach us as only you can. Be esteemed, Yahuwah, in and through us. Let your name be esteemed. Let Yahuwah arise, and let your enemies be scattered. And we say, Tuda for this time, Tuda for this fellowship, Tuda for this venue, Tuda for making it possible for us to be here, Tuda for bringing us through yet another week, and now for ushering us into the new. Pray that you would be with us, watch over us, and bring us back together once again. Do this we pray. Well, once again, family, we want to say, may Yahuwah barak you and keep you. May Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and show favor unto you. May Yahuwah cause his countenance to shine upon you and give you his shalom. May the name of Yahuwah be upon you. Hallelujah. Much ahab, family, and Leila Tub. Shalom.